Hi world, I want to talk about Mercury retrograde in Libra, which just began. There's a lot of air in the chart right now. I feel a lot of air emphasis and a lot of electricity, a lot of mental energy. That's what air means. A lot of thoughts, a lot of reasons, a lot of stories, a lot of ideas, a lot of possibilities, a lot of wanting to see into the future to make solid plans. But then it's like, well, what if that, or what if that, or what if that? And then we can just be paralyzed. Um, I'm making this video maybe to offer validation. Maybe this is helpful to hear. Um, and maybe to offer a way to balance it, hopefully. So Venus and Mars, I believe, are the only two planets that are not retrograde right now. Mars is conjuncting the Sun in Libra today, and Mercury is also retrograde in Libra today. Libra is an air sign. It is a cardinal air, so it wants to start something new. It wants to get its ideas in motion. It's ready to get going. But then there's this wait, but what about that? Or what about that? Or wait, we need to change this plan, or we need to talk it out some more. I'm not ready to go forward with it just yet, even though I said that I was a minute ago. Let's backtrack and talk out the details again. And wait, how are you feeling about this? And I don't know, so that's just, yeah, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all in Libra, air sign. I think Venus is in Scorpio, so that's some deep water. And then we also have Uranus and Taurus. I look to Uranus because when I think air, it's like it feels electric to me. It feels like neural pathways and fast moving network connections, like a grid, like an electric grid. In Uranus and Taurus, it's like electricity moving through Earth. And then we look at Saturn, which I feel is like 3D in a way. When I say Earth, like Saturn is kind of earthy in the way that it's tangible, it's solid, it wants commitments, it wants to make plans, it wants to know where we're going and feel like it can just rest in the solidity of what it's doing. Let's go step by step. We're gonna get there. Just methodical. Yeah, and like Saturn is an Aquarius, which is also an air sign. Um, and it's retrograding and it's kind of slowing down. It's gonna station direct in a couple weeks. So it's kind of like, yeah, there's this really strong planning happening, or desire to plan, or wanting to make ideas more tangible, but they're still just in the idea realm like this. And it's like, oh my gosh, like when can we settle down? It's just like all this dust picked up in the air, and it's like, okay, can we settle down? It's like, wait, not yet. Like we still have to talk about it. It's like, okay. So yeah, so specifically the Mercury retrograde in Libra, I've been experiencing becoming aware of how my stories change based on the direction I look from. Stories meaning, how am I telling the story of my life in its flow? It's a stream of events that we string together with meaning. And that's sort of the story we tell. It's sort of like, it's not just like, oh, I lived there for 5 years and then I lived there for 5 years. It's like, oh, I lived there and it was like this kind of experience for me and I learned these lessons. It's so meaningful. And so I noticed that when my planning mind wants to take me in a certain direction, it'll tell a story about how it fits into the context of my life. It'll give reasons, in other words. It'll give me reasons as to why that's the right direction to go in, and why it fits into the context of my life. But then when I look in this other direction, there's a whole bunch more reasons, and then there's a whole rewording of the story of my life. And when Mercury's retrograde in Libra, in the land of decision making and of weighing our options and of seeing all sides of things, we can kind of get this decision paralysis where we can see the pros and cons of everything. We can have pro and con lists out our ears, and But still, it's sort of like, okay, well, which story is the true one? Like, how am I supposed to make sense of this? Like, is the story I'm telling about my life like I need to be more cautious and choose the safe route? Or is the story I'm telling about my life like, nah, that's not for me. Like, what do I really want? Like, what does my heart want right now? Like, what if I could do anything? Or is the story of my life, um, like, yeah, like, just what are your reasons? Like, what reasons am I justifying? What reasons am I giving weight to? And then at the end of the day, we just have this pile of reasons, and beliefs about the meaning behind certain choices that we make. You know, like, if I move to this place, then it's like, oh, well, that's because I'm meant to be studying herbalism, and that's where all the farms are. But if I move to that place, it's like, oh, well, that place just feels like home to me. That's just where I want to rest and be at home. And it's like, well, if I move to this place, it's like, oh, I'm working out this karmic challenge in my life, and that's the place where I'll encounter that challenge. And it's like, which one is true? And we can get lost in our minds with all of these reasons and stories. And so what do we do when we're in this decision paralysis and we're lost in our thoughts? When we've got all these planets and all this electricity and all this air, well, I want to balance it out. I want to, maybe look at that Venus in Scorpio. There's something going on that kind of just adds like a really intense emotional depth to everything else, and like sensitivity, like a poignant sensitivity. But it's like, at least it's something going through water, which can offer a counterbalance to air. Really, like when the thoughts are all like going like that, it's kind of just like, I don't know, what worked for me today was just doing something else. I kind of like needed to go into that air storm, into that windstorm. And then I needed to just be like, all right, I'm doing something else. And also, though, yeah, the water. So the Venus in Scorpio, we can, when there's so much mental energy, like dropping back into the body and just seeing like what am I feeling? What am I intuiting? The Venus in Scorpio is very, very, very sensitive. And it can be paranoid. So, with discernment to your intuition. But like, what am I intuiting about this or that? And then, when we get the Venus in Scorpio in combination with all this Libra stuff, you could see you can look into the discernment of, is what I am intuiting actually a fear that's based on a story that I'm telling, or is it something I'm actually intuiting? That question could come up now. So I feel anxious about a situation. And now, is that because I don't have enough information about the full situation? And if I knew more, then I'd see like, oh, I thought that this was going on, and so I felt anxious. But actually, I don't have to feel anxious. And I thought it was my intuition that was telling me that I needed to be wary of that situation. But actually, it wasn't my intuition. It was just that I was missing information. So that the Venus in Scorpio also kind of wants to dig and like see what the truth is, if it has all the information, before it makes its evaluations that it needs to like protect itself necessarily. Might need to protect itself though. It's pretty sensitive. Discernment again. So to balance out the air, we have water, earth, fire. I mean, Mars is in Libra. So that's like fire and wind. The desire to move things forward. But internally, even, we can look to, to balance out all the mental energy, consult our body barometer, and see, well, how does this option actually feel to me? Even though I have the thought, wow, like it would totally support, like that I want to study herbalism now, and that like there's a logical reason for me to live on a farm. There's a logical reason for me to live in a farming area if I want to study herbalism. And logic, the masculine air, it's mental body. But how does it actually feel to my watery, effeminate, intuitive, sensitive, sensual body? How does that feel? Does it feel solid? And how do I make the choice? Because, the Libra is so balancing the genders. And I'm sure some of us make decisions more from a place of reasons and logic and mental body and like explanations. And some of us make decisions more habitually from a more like watery or intuitive or does it feel right kind of a place that you can't really explain to other people. The timestamp was just 11:11. Balancing. So when are we making these choices, and what happens if we make a choice from one place or the other place? And is there such a thing as a wrong choice? And just pick one. I have a good Libra sun friend who said to me that the way to go about decision making is just pick one and stick to it. And then we've got that tricky old Saturn though in Aquarius who just like wants to move forward and make progressive, like genius plans for the future and get them going, but it's like going so slowly backwards right now, and it's like almost ready to just pick one and commit. Like it's like the commitment planet is thinking it over just a little bit more. So what do we do with this pile of reasons and all of this awareness? I mean, it's interesting to sit back and take that Aquarian detached perspective to our own mind. That's the brilliance of Aquarius, is that it can step back from itself. It can do a meta awareness and observe the contents of its own mind, mindfulness. And say like, wow, look at these stories that I'm telling about myself. Look at these stories that I'm telling about the meaning in my life. Look at how I'm creating meaning in my life. And it can also step back and look into the feeling and say, okay, this is what it feels like over there. And that's interesting. That feels good to me. And this is what it feels like in that, down that path. This is what it kind of feels like. And that feels not so comfortable, even though my mind is saying it's the right choice. And so how do we like do this inner negotiation of feelings and stories, of feelings and reasons for, our pro-con lists? So it's a good time for that whole faculty of the human experience, the decision-making faculty, the planning, the reasoning, the talking it out with someone else before going ahead and moving forward, talking it out with ourselves before moving forward. A great time for that to be under the microscope to our awareness, to become aware of this human faculty of the marvelous capacity to create meaning in our lives, to extract meaning from things that are happening, and to feel into things, to project into the future. When we can't really find the satisfaction in actually having a solid plan, maybe we can find some appreciation for our human faculties and the experience of being a human. And there's the grace of Aquarius. Well, wish you all the best with that. I welcome feedback. Tell me what you're thinking through. Tell me what you're moving forward in. It's kind of like there's like a sense of so much meaning, so much significance, so much purpose. We know exactly where we're going, where we're headed, what we're doing. With this Venus and Mars direct, we know what we want, and we want it. We're pining for it. We've got fire for it. But then, like, it's like running through mud a little bit. So, Much love.